Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Hi, everybody. I see that everybody's joining, so let's give everybody a couple of minutes to join the call, and we'll see. I'll try to start at 10 if enough people have joined.
I'm checking, Cynthia, if my colleague Bart is already in the call. There's so many people now, so difficult to check. Yeah, I see him. Okay.
Hello.
Hello. I see Roland as well in the call. Okay. Familiar names, Thomas. Okay.
Good morning, you all.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
How many participants are we expecting, Cynthia? 47?
58 in the meantime.
Still counting.
Yes.
Right.
A huge number.
Yeah, it's a good start, Hans.
Yes.
Let's give it a couple more minutes. I see that everybody is still joining. Numbers are going up, so. Okay. Good morning, everybody. I was just waiting a couple more seconds because I see everybody's joining, so that everybody is here from the beginning and doesn't miss anything. Okay, numbers are slowing down, so let's just start. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us at this webinar concerning Paybix. And we are very happy to welcome you and present you the Paybix tool. Just to give you a bit of context, what we have been doing the last couple of months is that we are currently together with Foederer in the Netherlands. We were looking to start working with the Paybix tool. We have been in close contact with Hans already a couple of months now. I think already from at the end of last year, our intention with Foederer and Crowe Spark Belgium is to set up a corporation together with Paybix to provide this tool for international clients, maybe even some local clients also. But because it's a very nice tool and we all had the same experience, I think already, is that good clients for which we have a very good service and they are very content with us, but they need to leave us because internationally it has been decided to work with an international payroll tool. And that's always a bit of a shame to lose those kind of clients because we cannot compete with that at the moment. So I think that Paybix there would be a nice possible solution. And that's why we also wanted to present it to you all in the network to show you the possibilities and the capabilities of Paybix. And if you have any questions on the tool or on how to set up, etc., please put them in the chat or let us know. You can always contact myself and Roland, who will be liaising together with Hans from Paybix with all of your questions. Even after the webinar, we will still be available for all of your questions if you have any. Today I'm going to give the word to Hans from Paybix, who will give you a demo and show you what the capabilities of Paybix are. Hans, good luck.
Well, thank you very much, Cynthia. Very happy to be here in this webinar. Thank you, by the way, for organizing this, Cynthia. I'm sure it took quite some time and effort from you to organize all this. And thank you to all the people present in the call. Very happy to introduce Paybix to you. I'm not going to give the demo. The demo will be given by my colleague Bart, also in the call. Bart, maybe wave your hand a bit.
Hello.
I can see you. Yeah. But I will share a few slides about the concept behind the platform, because I think it's good that everybody starts from the same page. So I have a few slides that I would like to share with you to introduce the technology and the platform and some principles behind the platform to you. So everything with Paybix is about transforming and unifying multi-country payroll processes because they come with numerous challenges. And I'm sure these sound familiar. So almost on a daily basis, we hear people complain, both employers, but also multi-country payroll providers, about scattered data, data being scattered across many different local payroll engines, unaligned processes, a different process probably for each country, which makes running payroll quite a challenge, and the extremely high number of manual interventions that you typically have when dealing with global payroll. And so what we still see, and in a way it's sad to say, global payroll today is still one of the least digitalized functions in most companies. And of course, there's also some great news because we want to change this with Paybix. And we have developed a game-changing platform based on this principle. So it is an integration and control platform that will integrate with local payroll systems from all kinds of in-country payroll providers. So it gives you a global reach. As a matter of fact, it replaces all the front ends that you may use today to run your payroll in each of your countries. So it's an integration layer with a bi-directional exchange between the platform and the local payroll systems. And with that, you have a global reach for your pre-payroll input process, but also for your reporting. More on that later. That's technology. The second part of the solution is that this platform allows the customer to have still a direct connection with the Crowe payroll officers. So there's no intermediary party involved here. The client keeps on asking its daily questions relative to payroll processing to the current Crowe payroll officer. So direct access to local payroll expertise. So it's a combination of global reach through technology, yet having direct access to your to the employer's payroll officer. And that's why we tend to call the concept a global concept. What kind of data will you find in the platform? It's not a human capital management system. It's a payroll integration platform where you will find core HR data, name, address, place of birth, that kind of data. In the platform, of course, all the data that you need to run payroll, global payroll, and also reporting. Is all kinds of analytics already available in the tool that you or your end customers can use to have deep insights both in the composition of the workforce, also in the productivity of their workforce, and also in the labor cost of their workforce.
Hans, can I
Yes.
can I ask you something, because there are some questions in the chat if it's applicable for Norway and Croatia. So maybe you can elaborate on which countries a little bit. So
Yes.
I think everybody has the same question for their own country probably. So yeah.
Well, as soon as you see a question pop up, Thomas, in the chat box, feel free indeed to submit it to me, because I cannot do two things at the same time. I'm a man, so. But you can connect the platform with any country in the world. The flags that you see on this screen are only examples. So Norway and Croatia can also be integrated from a payroll data exchange point of view.
Yeah,
okay.
And maybe what's nice in this context, because many of our Crowe offices provide payroll services, that if a client works with Epix or Paybix, then you get standardized mutations of changes each month in already mapped into your codes that you locally use. So that's, I think, a really big benefit regarding efficiency. Yeah.
Yes, I have more on that later, but indeed, the basic principle or property behind the bidirectional data exchange is that we always speak the local language. So we always express data going to the payroll provider in the local language, wage types, pay codes, also local data validations, so that it is ready for automated treatment. Indeed, that's an important property.
Cool.
So that is the principle or the concept, let's say, behind the platform. So what we're going to do now is to connect our platform with each of the payroll engines that the Crowe or the local Crowe entities use in their respective countries. And so to explain the concept a bit more, how this would work for you. So you have the payroll officer, the Crowe payroll officer, who would use Epix for all the payroll processes for all countries and would use Epix for this matter. MCPO, by the way, stands for multi-country payroll outsourcing. So this is what you do basically with Crowe. You offer payroll-related services to your customers. And we are going to connect the platform with each of the other Crowe entities who perform the payroll for their foreign clients, for the foreign clients coming from other Crowe entities, for example. Now, the good thing about the platform is that it allows a shared access between all the parties involved. For instance, a time-consuming task would be the monthly entering of the absences into the platform, because for many countries, this is mandatory for a payroll process. Not for all, but for many. Our platform also includes a web application, a mobile web application, that can be used by the employees of the end customer to manage and enter their absences. So for instance, they can check their outstanding balance of holidays. When they do have enough days left, they can submit a request for absence in the application. And there's an automatic approval flow behind that will run the request or route it to the manager of this person. And upon approval, this absence will be automatically integrated into Epix, into the platform. So no more need to manually enter absences when your clients and the employees of your clients use the self-service application. Additionally, other people from your end customer can also have insights in the tool. For instance, in the reporting, an HR manager is typically interested in all kinds of KPIs that tell something about the composition. Who are my employees? Where are they? How many are they? How many people do I have per division, per country? All those reports are available at the fingertips of the HR manager in the tool as well. And the same for the CFO, who might be interested in some more financially driven reports, such as labor cost analytics. So that's what we mean by a shared access that you can have between the Crowe payroll officer, but also people from the client. Is this principle clear? Are there any questions about that, Thomas, maybe?
Not in the
No
chat.
questions.
So
No.
if someone has, please shoot.
Yeah. Okay. It goes even further. If your end clients already use an HR application, could be SuccessFactors, Workday, HiBob, Bamboo, HR, Personio, or another one, we can also integrate with them, because what we see is that most international companies first invest in an HCM application, then see, wait a minute, we still have to integrate this HCM application with all our local payroll engines. Well, this is no longer necessary when you use Epix. You only need one integration between your HR application and Epix, and then we can integrate the core HR data that are available in this HCM application. and have them flow into Paybix automatically without the need to double enter those data. So it could be any HCM system, and we can integrate with that as well to avoid double entry of the core HR data, which are already kept in another system. This is the principle behind the platform. This is how you can use it as a Crowe payroll officer. What I suggest now, if that's okay, is that Bart will now dive into the platform, and then I have a few other slides to share about the collaboration principles that we have discussed together with Cynthia, Thomas, Roland, and Sophie in the past months. Okay, so I will stop sharing maybe, and Bart, can you take over?
Yes, I can. Voila. Normally you see my screen, right? Okay. Yes. So this is Paybix. I'm on the home screen right now. So this is a demo environment in production. We see here that the version has 8 countries configured. Now these are of course configurations, so you can add or remove them if necessary. What's also very important is that we see that a lot of international companies don't have overviews, like a simple headcount over the countries is typically already an issue. So that's what we put here on the home screen. So they have always a site on the headcount FTE. Also some important events that are occurring in the company, like people that will start or leave. Typically you have to do something for them. Now you can see here that this person will start in the German company on the 15th of May. And this person will leave. Also cars, you can add a car here or different cars. It has a car module, of course. And so you can attach cars to contracts, and then we say if the car ends within 90 days. Also, this will give an alert here on the widget. And then on the right, you see the validations or the things you have to do as a payroll administrator. So validations is one of them. If people have a validation error, they show up here. Now, what is a validation error? In Paybix, we have already a lot of validations that check if the data is complete for a local country. So, for example, if you have not all the data you have to enter in a certain screen, we always want to make sure that you can save your screen. We don't want to give you an alert, you miss this data and you cannot save, because it's not always easy to get that data. But then Paybix will generate a validation error, so you can add it afterwards. So this is the list of the ones you need to do before you can close. And here on the right, you see the tasks and processes. So these are the upcoming payroll closure moments. You can add them in advance already for a full year if you want. And then they will pop up if they are within 30 days. Now these are red because the dates are already passed, but it's because it's a demo environment. I need to move them a month, and then they will become blue again. The system is also in different languages, and we have also a lot of currencies, of course, because for all the countries you need to add this in different currencies. Now, what's special? I can put myself on a certain currency. In this case, I put myself on British pound as an example, and then Paybix will help me again with the conversions. Now, these buttons here are also filters. So if I click on a button, I can, or multiple buttons, it focuses on just the countries I've selected. These buttons will be remembered if I would go through the other screens again to focus. Okay, so when I go now into the details of one person, so here we have the list of the people. You see here immediately some information. The person number, this person has 2 contracts, and there are still some validations left. So when I go into this person, I see the personal details. On the left, the most important ones. So function, again, start date, person number. And here we see that this person has 2 contracts. So you can have in Paybix split contracts where you add 2 concurrent contracts. Now, Paybix knows that, for example, if you have the personal data, which we see here, this is only captured once, of course. Now, if you send the data to the Belgian provider in this example, and you afterwards you send it to the German one. He knows that, for example, if you change the bank account, that the Belgian one already got the bank account and the German didn't. So he will send it again to the German party too. Here we see an overview about identification data. It's very simple to change it just on the pencil, and you can change it. What's also interesting is that we configured behind a lot of drop downs specific values. For example, we have 4 gender values here we use for analytics, but not every country can handle them. So female and male are the most evident. But if I say, okay, every undefined for my reporting, then you see that the system says, oh, attention, the German provider, that's okay. It doesn't matter. But for the Belgian provider, you need to provide one of the two. So you need to make a specific choice for that provider, and then that provider will get this choice. And the same applies, for example, for civil states. If I go here, this is historical, of course. Merit is something that is known in every country, but then you have not merit, and then you see that for Germany, there are some options, and for Belgium, there are other options about being single. So this is happening all over the place, where we check which kind of contract has this person, so which drop downs or specific choices you need to make. Okay, going into the contract as an example here, you see that again here, the things you would expect, the start and end date, fixed term end dates, probation time. So this can all be added here. What's also interesting here is you have the contract type. So we know which employer, legal entity then, employee number, pay group if you want, and some other information. But what you also added is, because you see in case of split contracts, typically that taxes are paid in another country or social security. So you can, this is the standard case, but if you then add, you say, okay, taxes are subject abroad, then you need to tell the Belgian provider that it's paid, in this case, in Germany. And so you can change this, and then it will be sent to the local provider. Additional information, as I said, a car, you can couple a car. Bank account, so you have bank account on personal level, but you can override it in case of a split pay. You want to pay perhaps a certain contract on another bank account. And then for the German, you see here that there are some errors. Now, for every contract, it's the same principle, so you can manage every contract for every country the same way. But in this case, you see that another tab is appearing, and that's because for the Belgian provider, we had enough with all the fields that were in the standard widgets. But for Germany, there are a lot of statistical information they need for the government. So we have added the fields they need in this tab. And that's also where the validations are about. So we see here, if you go to the validations, that he says, oh, you missed 3 fields in the DE tab under the taxes widget. You have no child allowance, no tax identification, and no tax class. And there is also something wrong with the German social insurance number. It consists of 4 parts. And then, yeah, it's a long explanation explaining how you should manage it. So here we see indeed the DE tab taxes widget that we miss 3 fields. So we need to add them, and then the validation errors will be removed. About, again, here, the Belgian one, if I go to the next tab, pay components. So this is what Hans said.
Maybe one question. How are data protection requirements legally secured? A lot of personal data included in an external platform.
Oh, that was a long question. Is it, okay, how are data protection secured? Yeah. Well, our platform is hosted on Azure, so we take, of course, into account everything we can about GDPR. We also perform every year penetration test, which we did actually last month, where we had a very good result. So we are aware of the sensitivity of the data, of course. So yeah, we need to take care of that.
Yeah, and we follow all the things that Microsoft opposes on us as a software provider, of course, since it is built in the Microsoft Azure framework, as Bart explained. with two-factor authentication as well. So it is GDPR proof on the platform.
Yeah.
Hey, Hans and Bart, you also told me that ISO 27001 is also on the roadmap.
Yes,
So
yes,
it's
yes.
also
correct.
a validation, I think, of the the security measures. Yep.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, so going on here, the pay components, as Hans has said, there are, we use the local payroll codes. So in this case, these are the payroll codes of our Belgian provider. Here you see that because I have chosen British pound, the system helps me. So this is Belgium, so we need to add it in euros, of course, but he will do the ratio, changes this to the rates of the British pounds. This is a table behind in the database that we are using today. It's automated, so every year or every month. So that's a choice. The rates are outdated, but they can be edited in the table too, of course. Now, what we also have here are smart pay components. Now, this is a functionality where calculated components are generated. So this is, it would go too deep in the configuration, but you can create rules where he takes, you see here, the code appearing, the MV, meal vouchers. So he takes input codes and this generates an output code. And so you can add this component to different people, and then he will generate this, in this case, based on the number of work days in the calendar for this pay period. And this will be multiplied with some values. So you can create really complex rules, and then you don't have to do this manually for every person. So this is an example of what you can do. We also have calendars, of course, really important functionality. In this case, it's a part-time calendar because the other days are for the German provider. You just you have a work schedule, which you would expect, which is historical. Collective days are put over it, holidays, and then you can just override it by clicking it, edit, and then add. You can just say illness or whatever you want to add for a full day, a half day, or hours. We have also some nice insights about these calendars. So it's really easy to calculate the number of hours that were here. Next to the pay components and calendars, we also have a document management system because we see that people want to have all the PDFs of a certain file, like the PDF contracts or other certificates. They want to add them into the file of this person. So we have different folders where you can add them, including, of course, the pay slips of the person, which you can say per folder if the employee can have access to. So in this case, the person can see the pay slips in his self-service too. Validations and then self-service, that's also what Hans has already told you. You can configure how many days of vacation somebody has and how the rules are about approving and requesting. Okay, so this is about the
Bart, maybe I understood also that it's possible for invoices, that so employees who pay upfront some payments for the employer, that it's also possible to set up a flow that it's being reimbursed via payroll, via the employee self-service.
Are you referring to contingent workers, freelancers, Cynthia?
No, invoices of employees.
Expenses, you mean?
Expenses, yes.
We
don't have, no, that's not the case. That's also on our wish list, but it's not implemented yet. So we don't have a way to have expense notes. That's what you're asking.
But can they upload the expense notes in the employee self-service?
No, not today.
Not yet. Okay.
As an attachment, you mean? But
yes.
Yeah. But our attachments are always currently related to absences.
Yes. So let's sick note or something. Those you can indeed upload already. So if you have a special absence type or something, you can upload immediately a photo of the document too. So that's already implemented, but we didn't have time to create the expense notes yet.
But that's also on the roadmap. So it's a frequently asked question. So it's on our roadmap, adding the expense management and the possibility to then upload your expense notes.
Yes. Okay.
There's another question. I see. Will
sorry.
the payslips in the document section just be payslips made with the local payroll software, or will they have a Paybix look and feel layer to make them look more similar? That's a great question. As it turns out, the payslip is an official local document. So, and that remains a local document that can indeed then be uploaded. We do not have the authority to produce the official payslip. So it still needs to be a local payslip produced by the local payroll provider.
Yes. Okay. Now we have had the home screen overview and then the personal data, which we can change, and with all the components here. Then if we would need to close this, these are the closures we saw on the home screen. I will take my example here, go a bit back because it's every demo, it stays on the last step. I demoed it, voila, okay. So this is the payroll closure process. It's the same process for every country. So you just start a new process and then you need to say for which payroll provider you want to do. So let's say the country, for which legal entity and for which pay group. And then the system knows, okay, this follows these the pay periods, sorry. Okay, so the pay periods, because it can be monthly or bi-monthly, so this depends of course on the pay group, and that's why you need to choose this. Then if you go further, then the system asks you, is this an original closure or a correction run or a person contract data? So this is if you just want to send the person and contract data without really closing a person. And then you go to the first step of the real wizard, where you can select the population. So here he pre-selects the population that is within this selection you've made. You can deselect people if you want, and also if people are running behind, because that's also a possibility. If there was something wrong last time, they can run behind, and then they will show up here. So with the suggestion to close them first, and then they will be added in the list. When you select the population, then the system will tell you what the changes were. So if different people were working on for this customer, then all the changes of all the people are showing here. The old record is the record that the local provider already has, and the updated is what we will send him. So you can see what has been changed. The same for contracts. So if a new contract, it's only one record, of course, it will have the keyword new. Official address, company car, but of course this will be, there can be more tabs depending on the changes that have been made. So this gives you already insights about the changes in the personal and the contract data. Then the next step is the pay components. Of course, there are a lot of pay components that are valid for a longer time, but we don't show them anymore here, which we only show the ones that have changed, because that's of course the most interesting. So the ones that have been added for this pay period, or the corrections. So here we see that there are also some corrections. It's a demo database, of course, and a lot of people give demos. So here you see what has been changed. So these will be sent as a correction for previous periods. Then on the third part is the calendar, of course. So this gives you an overview of the calendar for everybody in scope. By the colors, you know which type of calendar day it is. Again, here we have some corrections for March. So apparently some illnesses were added after the payroll had already went to the provider. So this is all shown here. And then based on customer feedback, they asked, I want to see, so this is all good in detail, but overall, I want to see if there is a big difference between this period and the previous period. So it shows you here, the previous period, we had 25 contracts with the same FTE as the current, because this can already explain changes or differences. And then every payroll code is listed here with the sum of all the people and then with the difference. So in this case, there is 200 euros more in the current than in the previous period. If you want to know why this happened, so if the difference is big, for example, you can download it, and then it will give you a CSV with all the people that have this code with their amount previous and current, so you know exactly for which person the change has been made. And then the calendar, the same here. This is perhaps interesting if there are a lot of overtime or more sicknesses that happened, and this gives you an overview on that part. And then the last here is the finish step, where it gives you an overview. You click on finish, and then all the data is prepared for the local provider and sent. So in case we have an API connection, then we transfer it immediately, of course. But if a lot of countries have still Excel, CSV, XML connections, then the files are generated here. The local provider gets an email automatically that the closure was completed for this group of people with a link, and then the local provider can get the data here to upload them in their own system. So you don't need to send them via email or something. They can get it here, and they can again give feedback about the payroll closure.
But there are a few questions.
Okay. Will there be an
API between Paybix and the local payroll software, or do you need to take the data from Paybix yourself and then translate into the local payroll software? Do you take this one, or shall I take it?
Yeah. So I explained it already a bit. So we have for Belgium and the Netherlands, we have already an API with their local providers, with our own local providers, which are Prisma and Numbers. But what we see is that a lot of payroll applications don't have the ability to use APIs, and it's also a big effort. So we also do this when we see that there are, for example, a lot of employees that need to be synced, and therefore we see that most start with import of CSVs or XMLs, as I said, and then we can evolve to an API connection if the number of employees grows. So that's typically how we do this. How do we integrate with local payroll software? I think it's a bit the same question. Now,
maybe a word of explanation on the last part of that question. And what does the integration process look like? So what we would do for Crowe is, and we let that depend on the customers that have to be onboarded. Let's say that Crowe Belgium wants to onboard a new customer with employment in 10 countries. So with 10 different countries served by a Crowe payroll officer, then we would sit together with each of the Crowe local entities and see what additional data fields they would need from us in order to run payroll in a compliant and accurate way. So that's what we always do in terms of onboarding. We give an overview of all the data fields that are already available out of the box in the platform. Is there something missing? We add that as additional fields, as explained and shown by Bart a while back. And then we also go through the validations that could be needed for each of the countries. And it takes between 1 and 3 days on average per country to onboard a new Crowe entity onto the platform and to make the connection work. The file-based connection it will then be. We also upload the local pay codes that you use for each of the countries, and that is all included in the 1 to 3 days that we foresee for each country to onboard onto the platform. And then another question.
There's a question about the price, but I think that's in the final slide you will show, Hans.
Yes, correct.
Yes, okay. So we now had the payroll closure process. Then, of course, some analytics. So out of the box, Epix already has a lot of analytics. So this is, for example, a year-on-year view about the workforce population. So the headcount and the FTE. We have a viewpoint, so we can move in time. When I put myself on another date, then the data will change, of course. I can filter out, let's say, the females that have an executive function. I filter it, and then it shows me this. Then I can say I want to see this only for Belgium, and then it shows me, again, this. So, or yeah, you can combine, as I said. So this is the way it's used. It's really simple and gives already a lot of insights on the different countries. Now we have this for workforce analytics, the starters and the leavers, also typically something you need to know as an HR. How many people started year on year, how many left year on year, year to date, last month, current, and next month. I can click on such a number and then it shows me which people it were in which country and when did they start or leave. Again, here the filters work and the countries work, of course. Workforce composition gives you insights on the contracts, durations, types, regimes. So the gender, this is then what I said about the 4 types we've chosen: people that are disabled, nationalities, and then seniority by age. So you have insights about your population. Organization, this is then functions and levels. And injuries, we also have the possibility to register injuries for the people. This is sometimes asked about ESG, and then they have an international tool to register them. It gives you then also some insights about these incidents, where you can click who had an incident, for example. We also have a second part here, productivity analytics. Now this is about the calendars. So everything about the calendars are shown here. Again, with some filters, so you can say, I don't want to see the work time, but the illnesses or overtime or other codes. So this is then the full list of the groups. Now, we didn't talk about the groups, but what we do is when we import the payroll codes for every country, we assign them to a group or a subgroup, and this way we can report over different countries. And so this is also used in this case. We know for every country which codes are normal working time, and then we are able to show them. Also on month or quarter or weekdays, by person even. We also have a Bradford implementation. It calculates the Bradford factor, and the balances. These are the balances of the self-service. So if somebody has, how many days somebody has and how many are taken or planned. Again, it's demo data, so it's not used every day. And then labor cost analytics. This is what Hans was talking about, perhaps interesting for the CFO. So after the payroll has been run, we can upload the calculated data back, and then this is shown here. Again, with the grouping mechanism, so we know which codes are in net salaries or other groups. We can change it again. We can change the currency, because of course we have to align the currency over the different countries, and then by month, and again by person. So this is also working the same way. And we also have a custom report assistant. So these are out of the box analytics. You also have a reporting assistant where you can add or create your own report. If I go, for example, here in the addresses, I can say I want to choose this field and this field and this field, and then it generates a CSV with perhaps some filters on countries if you want. And what's now new since last week is that we also have added an AI on this. So it's not only possible to download a file, but you can just ask some questions, give the number of hours of illness, and then it just answers and does statistical analysis about your files. So if, for example, if you would say, I extract an address list and then say, give me the people with a missing postal code, then it will give you already this list, for example. What's also next to that is that there is also another Copilot. So this is the first one was about reporting, and this one is an AI assistant that helps you with legal questions. So if you have legal questions, you can ask them here. They will be answered by AI, but then double checked on the local governmental site. So we have about 10 sites configured per country. And so the answer will be checked with the local site, and then see that to make sure he does not make any mistakes. Of course, it's AI, but we try to be as accurate as it possibly is. Then document management, I already talked about document management, that this was on person level or contract level. Now this is on employer level. So in employer level, you also have folders where you can add financial files or payroll closure files. So everything is here on a group level, let's say. They can also be shared with the employees, let's say only the custom folders. So we have some predefined folders, but for example, if we would create a custom folder, policy documents, and there we have, like, let's say a car policy or another policy, we can share this folder too, so the person can see it in the self-service also.
But there's
another question.
Sorry,
yes.
Missed it. What if you have different entities per country and each entity needs their own payroll report, but you also need a consolidated country payroll report? Is this possible? Now, is the question about the custom reports, or is it about the exports? So the exports will be per country. So as Hans explained, the closure export, we will talk with every country what they need, and then we will make a specific file for them. So it's importable. What I showed here is just a report definition that you personally make. So this is a report, and you can add a new report. You say, I give the name, it's about people, I save it, and then I just, like I did here, you just select the fields and you give it a name, as I said, and then you can run it. So if you need different ones, you create different ones. So you can create as many definitions as you want.
But I think the question is, if you have two separate legal entities in one country, who probably will have a different environment for the payroll. Can you also create a report that's consolidated over all the different entities in one country?
Yeah, so what you see with the filter buttons at the top, they group indeed all the local entities that you have. You can have multiple entities.
Yeah,
but you can also
you can also say, so this, what I now run, if I run this, it's for all my countries, the same report, one CSV, right? Now, what I also can do is I can say here, no, it's not for all the providers, employers, and pay group. I set this off, I save it, and then I get another option, and then I can say, oh, I want to run this only for the Belgian population, all employers. Oh, no, only one, this one. And all pay groups, no, I want only one. Yeah, there is only one. I save it, and then it's only run for this one. So you can have multiple definitions. You of course need to choose your naming right, but you can create predefined reports for certain groupings too, right? Is this an answer?
Ishak, is it an answer for you of your question?
Yes. Okay. Okay. If you have other questions appear or they are more complex, we can do it perhaps afterwards, or you can contact us, of course. So I think I was through most of it. Import, yeah, as you would expect, we have a lot of import possibilities. It's also a wizard helping you through it, validating the data, where you can import, by hand, calculated data, cars, people, contracts, pay components. Yeah. So this is what you would expect from an import module. Cars are also here, so you can add all the cars for all the countries. You can give a lot of information on it about lease cost or other things that are interesting. You see who the drivers are or if drivers changed. And then we have also some statistics about it, average CO2 and number of cars. Again, with filters, I only want to see the diesels. When will the diesels be gone, for example? This is something you can do. And then the last part is about the providers. So this is the configuration. Now the buttons on top. Now, if I go to here, our example provider. So this is what you need to configure. So these 9 widgets are what you need to configure. First of all, the payroll codes, then work schedules, of course, smart pay components, as I said, the rule set, a collective calendar, pay groups, and then if you use self-service, also request policies. Branches is just the list of the branches, and then the document management system. So this is what's needed to be done for one entity. So it's it's we try to keep it very simple and easy. What we see is that customers where we help them with the first few countries, they do the rest themselves. So they can really manage it themselves without our help. Are there other questions? I went through it really quickly to give you an overview. Of course, I can talk 2 hours too if you want, but yeah. So yeah, I wanted to focus a bit on the things I think were interesting for you.
At this point, no further questions in the chat, so maybe we can go to the question of Thijs with respect to the average costs.
Yes.
Hans?
Yes.
Okay. Shall I share my presentation again? There we go. And let me go back to the slide. So we had a demo. So first of all, about the collaboration. So in the past months, we have had numerous conversations. Paybix also has a reseller program, and today we focus on Crowe becoming a value-added reseller as a multi-payroll provider, multi-country payroll provider. So here are a few reasons why it can be interesting for you to become also a value-added reseller. It's a way for you to unify your local offerings or to offer your end customers a unified view, but also to streamline your internal processes. If you are today delivering the services, the payroll services for your customer, with our platform, you can streamline your own internal processes because you can manage the end-to-end cycle for all your countries in one place. And that's why it's an opportunity to streamline your internal processes. And of course, by offering a unified view to your end customer, you can also deliver more value to your global or your multi-country customers. And as I will explain on the next slide, since as a value-added reseller, you do also the onboarding, the implementation, and the support, it's also a way to tap into a new source of growth, specifically for your multi-country customers. A bit deeper. So we have two types of collaboration, and today we're discussing the value-added reseller collaboration. You can include our platform in your portfolio that you take with you whenever you see a new or an existing client. And as a VAD, you manage the sales, the implementation, onboarding, and support. And of course, Paybix is available for you in a second tier whenever you have a question that you're unable to answer to your end customer. And of course, as discussed also with Cynthia and with Thomas, the first customers, we do them together. Very happy to assist you with all the aspects, both sales, implementation, and onboarding. Although I think it's good and beneficial to have some kind of a super user inside your organization. It's always good to have one user that is more analytical and that will acquire more knowledge about the tool in more depth so that you're capable of helping your colleagues. Once we also provide trainings, by the way, online trainings in sessions of 1.5 hours to help you get running with the platform. So that's what a value-added reseller does. I think we have covered this, so we go quite far in localizing the information that we will share with all of the Crowe entities. When Crowe Belgium, for instance, wants to onboard a new customer present in 10 countries, we will make sure in each of the 10 countries we get the local pay codes. We make sure that the data exchange will be set up correctly, the mapping, validations, and so on, so that you and your end customer will have a seamless, unified payroll experience. I think we have covered this. So what is the main reason why your end customer could be interested in this? Well, one place to handle everything with the shared access remark. So it's the same platform that can be used both by the end customer and by the Crowe payroll officer. So all the data in one place. I think we have covered the connectivity. So we would start always with a file-based exchange unless we already have an API connection, which, as Bart has explained, it currently exists for Prisma and Numbers, a Dutch and a Belgian tool. For the other countries, we would start with file-based, and as soon as we reach a certain volume, happy to discuss a further automation of this exchange, which could be file transfer protocol, based or API based. But an API, as we have discovered, is quite heavy on maintenance. Numbers and Prisma have already changed some settings quite a bit. And then that requires us to do also some additional maintenance or changing of the settings. So hence the importance of having a volume per country before you go to such an automation. And then the pricing question. So what both Cynthia and Thomas have asked us is, can we have some kind of a group arrangement? And so you pay a fee per person per month, which depends on the total volume. And for the volume, Paybix is ready to consider the entire volume across all the Crowe countries. So that is, there comes the benefit from. So the more or the higher the volume will be, the lower the price per person per month will be. So each month, we will draw a report with all the people that were onboarded through a Crowe entity. If it exceeds, for instance, at the 500, which is the first threshold, then the price per person per month would not be 6, but 5. And we do this every month. So every month we look at the entire volume generated by all the Crowe entities, and we take that to determine the price per person that will be used for invoicing for that particular month. Now, every Crowe entity has, of course, the freedom to decide whether or not it wants to become a value-added reseller. If you want to become a value-added reseller, then a value-added reseller agreement should be signed. Currently, both the Netherlands and Belgium have the agreement in review. But the goal would be that we apply the same template across all the Crowe entities. But here you see the benefit of having a bigger volume and of having multiple Crowe entities also becoming a reseller, of course. Does this cover the pricing question, Thijs? In the meantime, I will go to my last slide, which I think I have covered already quite a bit. So each country decides if it wants to sign a VAR agreement. If yes, same template has to be signed per country. And I also explained the invoicing. Did I miss anything, Thomas and Cynthia, with regards to the collaboration principles? Anything that's missing?
No, I think it's complete. Just thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And so
Do any of you?
Yeah.
I just wanted to check if anyone else has any questions relating to the topic. Danka asked if you can give more info on support.
Yes. So as a value-added reseller, you are responsible for support to your end customers. So that means whenever one of your customers has a payroll-related question, which they, I suppose, will already have today, they will ask it to you. You remain the first point of contact for your end customers. If it's technology related, you can escalate this matter to us. We use a ticketing system that you can use to communicate with your end customers as well. We're also happy to use yours if you already have a ticketing system. And that way we know whether or not there's a technology related question where our support is needed. Now we only offer support to you. So we are in second line. You are first line. But whenever you have a technology related question, happy to support. That's in the ongoing modus. But during the onboarding process, we will provide trainings to make you familiar with the tool, also as a super user, so that you're able to explain how the tool works to your end customer. So we provide training. Train the trainer is the principle. We offer training to you to help you make or become a super user so that you're able to give support to your end customer. Does that answer your question, Danke? And while yes, okay, thank you. And then question from Isha, can you show us a sample of gross to net upload inputs and GL report, please? There's an example of where we have the calculated data at person level in the tool, but that's maybe something that you can show. And the general report, so that remains also a locally produced document. So it will be still you, the local payroll provider, who produces the general ledger as you do currently for the pay slips as well. So those are all official documents. And then you can upload this general ledger onto the platform under the document management feature. So we do not produce the general ledger as such. It's a locally produced, or it remains a locally produced document. Does that answer your question, Ishak? And maybe Bart, can you show?
Yes.
For Yaroslav, the detailed calculated data?
Yes, I will. My screen. So I think, voila, you see my screen. So I have a person here, and here you see that there are, so if I went to the contract, and then on the contract, I have a tab calculated data, and this is the calculated data that we have been importing. Now this is, if I go to the documentation, there is an import section, and then CSV, and then here you see the calculated data, and it shows you here how the layout of such a file is. So it's pretty easy actually. Employer, employee number, the period, the code, and then the value. So this is a file that's importable in our system. Again, here also we so this is what the standard file format is, but for a lot of providers, we need to do a conversion before we can import them, because their format is a bit different and they are not able themselves to change the format. So we can help there too. As you can see, this is the full documentation, so it helps you with an explanation of the full tool, and then giving insights on how to use it. Or so it's fully documented also. Okay.
Yeah, and to elaborate on that a bit. So during the onboarding, we will ask you what data you need in order to run payroll in all of your countries. And we will also tell you what we need back as information to upload these calculated data that Bart is now showing, using indeed the CSV format. So, and there we can convert starting from almost any type of files. So as soon as you're able to deliver or share a file report after each gross to net calculation, we can convert that and upload that into the system.
Okay.
Any other questions we have not covered yet? We're well on time, Cynthia.
Yes, well on time. That's nice. So, so if there are any other questions, I want to thank. Oh, there's somebody else. What are issues clients encounter currently, and you would like to have solved in the coming 12 months?
I think that's a roadmap related question. Yeah.
Yeah. What are issues? We
the expense notes we referred to earlier is on our roadmap. That's a frequently asked question. Can we also submit expenses, or can our employees submit questions?
Yeah. But we try to keep our roadmap not as far as 12 months. Of course, we have a long-term vision where we want to go, but we try to do it for like 3 months. We have recurring meetings. To tell you something about 3 months. Yeah. Okay. So we are now currently working further on those pay components, the smart pay components. So what I showed you in the pay components part below, there you could set rules, and we want to enhance those rules and make them even more complex. So you can get, for example, values from the car that is coupled to the person to use them in calculations, and other stuff like that. And we also integration is always a part. So we have other value-added resellers, and they have also, of course, partners. And now we are integrating, for example, with their partner in the Netherlands and in France. So this is also part of the roadmap we have to use, of course. And then, depending on customers, we have now a bit larger RFPs running. And there, for example, cost center management for some of them needs to be extended. So we have already a basic cost center management, but they might need split cost centers and on day parts and everything. So it depends also a bit on the customers we sign or the various users we sign and the requests they have, and that's why we don't want to make it into concrete for 12 months, but keep it like a month, 2 to 3 months, and then be agile to align on their requests.
Yeah, and in the meantime, I asked the counter question. So if there's anything missing in your experience, please feel free to share it with us. Always happy to receive feedback from our resellers. So if there's an important feature that's not existing in the tool or you didn't see, happy to discuss that and see if we can include that into our roadmap. There you have an interesting one, the Patchy integration with Workday.
Yeah, this one is indeed also on our list. We didn't, as said, we implement when we need it for a customer. So we have currently, I think, 3 RFPs running with the request of the Patchy integration. So I already did a lot of research on it, and if one of those customers signs, we will implement the Patchy integration as a standard import format, actually. So the imports I showed you, like person, contracts, pay components, we will add another one specifically for Patchy, which then can be imported. And the other way around, the pay slips is also something that is in those RFP requests, indeed, with the manifest document. So again, when we have a customer, we will put it on our roadmap and start the development. Can employees enter working days for split payroll purposes? Yes, you can also. So in the request policies, so the way people can add days in the self-service, you can say, for example, it has to replace a work schedule day, or I want to add extra hours on top of a work scheduling day, schedule day, for example, overtime or working in the weekends. But if you then put for this person no work schedule or a 0-hour work schedule, then you can ask him to add all the days. But there are also things in between, of course.
Yeah, I think for split payroll, you need to indicate as an employee how many days you have worked in which country.
Yes, determine which day belongs to which country. I think that's the question.
Yeah.
Well, every workday is assigned to a contract. So when a person has 2 contracts, he needs to add the days to the certain contract, and this way you know for which contract it was.
But not all salary splits have 2 contracts, Bart. Sometimes it's a single contract, and then it also should be determined in which country employees working on day 1 or day 2.
Okay. But then it's done by a different payroll code or something, because otherwise you cannot. That's also an option. Then you would create 2 requests for one, or request policies for one contract, one with payroll code A and one with B. You give it the right name, and then the person requests one of 2, which applies. So there are different options depending on the case.
Yes, you can also use the self-service application to indicate if you're working from home. And the same principle applies to indicating in which country you work. So you can indicate you work today in the Czech Republic and the other day in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Using that same principle through self-service.
Yes. Okay. Other questions?
Yeah, and on the roadmap, maybe going back to the payslip related question a bit earlier. So in a further future, we also foresee the possibility to have one rendered unified payslip layout. So as mentioned, we cannot replace the official payslip. So we could produce a copy that has the same layout of the payslip across country, but which we cannot call officially the payslip. So that will be possible in the further future as well, to give a more unified experience about the payslip as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. I don't see any questions popping up anymore. So thank you, Hans. Thank you, Bart, for your elaborate explanation and demo. Thank you all for joining the call, and I hope you've been well informed, and it kind of triggers you all to get to know it Paybix better. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or to Roland, and we'll get the ball rolling. Thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you, Cynthia, as well, for organizing this, and to all the participants. So it was a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you.